folks. This is Alex Fleury here from RealWorldEndo. Our topic for this presentation will be mission saving teeth. Now, endodontics has a very fancy definition in the glossary of endodontic terms. There's a full page. Never cared much about it. But the best definition I've ever heard about endodontics is this one. I heard from Martin Trope years ago. It's about the prevention or treatment of apical-periodontitis. And this is what he means by it. On the X-ray on the left, you see a vital tooth, a patient that came in with irreversible pulpitis. And what we need to do here is remove that tissue. You have acute inflammation in the pulp chamber, but you have to remove the whole tissue, coronal and root pulp. But there is no apical periodontitis in this case. So by removing that tissue and sealing that system from the rest of the mouth here, essentially preventing the formation of apical periodontitis. Now, on the X-ray on the right, you have necrotic pulp. Now, necrotic pulp needs to be removed from there and give the body a chance to heal. So, again, on this example, you will clean as best as you can that system and seal it from the rest of the mouth, restore it back to function. The body will have the opportunity to heal. So, at this point, you are treating apical periodontitis. On both cases, you are saving these teeth because the alternative here for each instance would be to pull the tooth, each one of these teeth. And then there's nothing else in endo, basically. It's either vital or non-vital when you're doing an endodontic treatment. It's one of these two. And that is our job, is to save teeth. And we've been doing that very successfully for many years. Now, not for every case, of course. If you look at this image here, this patient was sent to me. This is a recent case from 2013, just a few months ago. This patient was sent to me with a note that you see there on a screen. The doctor was trying to save these two teeth there, 19 and 18, asking, what can I do about 18? This is obviously not a great case to be saved. If you think about all the periodontium that was lost there. I mean, root canal treatment can always be done. You can pull the tooth and mail it to me. I still can do a root canal, but can you save it? Can you restore it back to function? Is it really worth? So I think picking your battles and trying to give this patient longevity for these teeth longevity, I think it's very important. So these are not great cases to be saved. Here's a cone beam CT image of that case that you just saw the X-ray, and you can see there's too much bone loss here. There's almost nothing left. Actually, 18 here had 10, 12 millimeters probing all around it. So this is really not a good case to try to save. Here's another example where a tooth was sent to me for retreatment. This patient had an acute alveolar abscess being caused here by the mesial root. But as you can see, this is a vertical root fracture. It's actually a split root. Root canal treatment here is not going to do much for this patient. I mean, in the old days, we would do maybe a root amputation or trying to desperately do something to save these teeth. But I don't think it's a good idea. I think we did that. Procedures like hemisection, root amputation, intentional replantation, we did it because we had no alternative. I think the prognosis is poor. Like in the example you see here in this image, I think it's just best to replace the tooth with an implant. It's much better prognosis, and it's the next best thing. So I'm not going to say there is no room for hemisection, root amputation, or intentional replantation. It's just that because the prognosis is poor, it's just best to replace it with an implant. Now, I've seen throughout the past few years endodontists concerned about losing business to implants because apparently there was a battle. Well, should I save the tooth and put an implant? And the answer to that is very clear. If the tooth can be saved, it should be saved. Here's an example from our school, Baylor College of Dentistry, where I have recommended. I was recommending a retreatment on this patient. Didn't have any symptoms or apical periodontitis, but the chief complaint here was I lost my crown, and the periodontitis was actually very healthy. So the plan, because this is a silver cone, as you can see here, you can't have therefore it's hard to prepare a post space. Our plan was to retreat this and leave a post space for the general dentist to move on with the restoration of this. Now, the next time I saw this case, it looked like that. So it was never treated, actually, even though we recommended that. It was just replaced by an implant. I tried to understand, why would you pull a tooth that can be saved and replace it with an implant? It's not always an easy answer. So maybe not. This is an excellent. Maybe it's not an excellent example, but it's a good example of a tooth that could be saved. And you know, the folks down in Perio decided to pull it and put an implant. And this is based on some of the literature that says that implants are 100% successful. And of course, in medicine, there is no such thing. Not 100% successful in any medical treatment. Even an amputation will carry its own burden of failure. Here's an example of a patient that had an implant done here in the area of number 8, and it was done at the school. And 2 years later, patient comes back with the chief complaint of aesthetics, like the margin of the crown is showing something like that, and very strong odor coming from that area. You can almost smell that just by looking at this horrible image here. Now, our friends down in Perio got a flap up and removed all the necrotic junk that was sitting there, and this is what you're left with. This is not an easy fix, and this is definitely an implant that is in a speed process of failing. And when you see implants fail, they fail for the same reasons the original teeth failed. When you compare on a retrospective cross-sectional study, comparing single tooth implants to endodontic treatment, what we find is that teeth get 94% retention. And this is pretty solid. If you compare to implants, they're identical number of failures.